most of you know me. I'm Drew Black with Postural Performance Institute. Really, we've kind of found a way in our minds to kind of concisely illustrate what we do, and that's pain relief, prevention, and performance. That really illustrates the whole spectrum of what we do, but also the steps in which it takes place generally. Usually, I mean, 9 times out of 10, somebody comes to us, they've got some sort of painful issue. They're dealing with some sort of postural dysfunction or repetitive movement dysfunction. We have to treat the dysfunction first, then we can move towards education, prevention, retraining proper patterns, proper movement patterns, retraining, rebuilding proper posture. And then if they're interested, we can even move forward using the same format, work within the same constraints, and we can work towards building strength in a very functional format that can lend to whatever, I mean, daily activities, any kind of sports, anything like that, and not get hurt in the process of doing it. First of all, who we are, company background. Guy on the left there, that's Jake Curtis. Picture's a little bit outdated. He's a little bit older than that now, but not a whole lot. He originally started his practice in 1998. He went to bodywork school, massage school, and just after massage school broke his back in a water tubing accident, crushed a couple facet joints, and couldn't walk for about 3 weeks, and went through the entire rehab process that we see on a daily basis. And so this was kind of his introduction and motivation to what he does now. And basically he got to a point through insurance provided rehab where he could walk again, but his left hip was about 1.5 inches high. He could really only walk on the ball of the foot on one side, but he could walk. So insurance said, this is the best we can do. This is the scope of our work. We'll see you later. And so he knew through his background already in massage and bodywork training that this wasn't really the answer. And so he actually got in a pool, talked to some physical therapists. He was up in Rochester, Minnesota, because he had moved there for his rehab because his mom was living there, so he had family support, but it's also the location of the Mayo Clinic. So he went up there and developed a relationship with some of the physical therapists there through his own therapy, and basically said, what do you guys suggest that we do next? And they said, gave him a few different pieces of literature to look into, and most of them were, doctorate level textbooks, and he worked his way through motor control, kinesiology, the whole gambit, and taught himself and got in a pool and rehabbed himself. And a few of you have met him. You'd never know to this day that he's had any kind of debilitating accident at all. The guy gets by pain-free and works about 50 hours of intensive work every single week. So basically from there, he realized the healthcare system that wasn't actually helping people to get really back to function and proper function. So people were falling backwards into this cycle of repetitive injury, and everybody's heard it. So and so had surgery, that they started feeling better, but ultimately they ended up back in the same position, or this other thing started hurting, and it's all a result of compensations that we make as a result of the pain. The best way to describe it is somebody puts a rock in your shoe, it's going to hurt. So you're going to work around to try to find a way to walk, and what you're ultimately going to be doing is offsetting the pressure off onto the other side, into the opposite hip or knee. And so the pain is actually going to present in the knee or the hip. And so essentially the physical therapy, occupational therapy, that's where they're going to focus. They work within quadrants, so they may work from the hip down to the knee or the knee up to the hip, but they're not going to work beyond that point. That's the scope that insurance has created.
Whereas what they really need to do is take the rock out of the shoe.
Exactly. That's what we do. We work our way all the way back. We start with the knee, we work to the hip, we work across to the opposite hip, we shore up the posture on this side, and we say, well, what's causing this? Oh, there's a rock in your shoe. Let's take that out, let's correct that pattern, and let's prevent this from relapsing further. And so he realized this gap, and so he, being in Minnesota, he did his best to build a practice around these philosophies, and having some relationships with the Mayo Clinic, he did his best to get in there. But here are these highly touted physicians and surgeons that are world renowned, and he's a massage therapist, so they were very resistant at first to work with him in any way. but then he marketed at the MCL style cafeterias around the hospital where the families of the patients were actually, eating and spending a lot of time, and they actually brought him in. And you cannot kick somebody out, contractor or not, if the family brings them in or the patient brings them in. It's essentially a guest of theirs. You cannot kick them out of the hospital no matter what you want to do. That's how he got his foot in the door, had some major successes, and gained the respect of the staff at the Mayo Clinic, and he was the first massage therapist to work contracted in by the Mayo Clinic. From there, though, he decided, after a few years of doing that, he's from here, wanted to move back here. Minnesota is frigid. He's not a cold weather person. So came here, leased space at Fitness by Design, which is off 96th and Ditch, for about 8 years. Started at the Meridian location, moved over to Ditch, or 96th. And after a while of doing that, after about 8 years, he, while that had its positives, he just can't be part of it forever, and so he decided to go off and start his own thing. We were friends, and so that's where I came in with my business background. He knew that in trying to expand something far beyond his own practice, he needed somebody to help with the business development and the administration side, and that's where I came in. And so in 2008, we actually opened our own facility over off of 86th, West 86th Street, right by St. Vincent's Hospital. We've got about 5,300 square feet, and it's okay for now. As far as our therapists, our team, the young lady there is Rachel Wuthrich. Rachel is a former professional dancer, the artistic style. She has she has a degree in fine arts dance from Northern Illinois, and then she had an extensive background as a great personal trainer, and also a licensed massage therapist. Moved here from the East Coast, and actually hunted us down. Basically, I mean, she really wanted to be there, and she's turned out to be an excellent employee, great protege for Jake. She gets the system. Rob can attest. Rachel is awesome. Billy on the right. William, as he prefers to be called. I've known him since grade school. So he is a former marathoner. He's the one I was saying in the Spartan race, did a 1:07. The guy is an absolute beast. He ran varsity cross country at IU. And he's one of our corrective exercise therapists, but he's also in massage school right now, training to handle what we're moving towards, which is a hybrid model of employee that can handle both departments. But his extensive background in sports and varsity and continual, he was the 5th or 7th American to finish the 2005 Las Vegas marathon. And he's a phenomenal athlete and works really well with different athletic types. Pain relief. The two, we use bodywork therapy. That's an advanced form of massage therapy. Very advanced techniques, utilizing a lot of techniques of physical therapy as well. And the idea is to manipulate the muscles through physically moving things back into place, but also using neuromuscular techniques, we're able to retrain the muscles to sit correctly. Rather than wanting to roll forward, we can train these scapular muscles to want to sit back, pull the shoulders back more into a proper position. Just using pretty simple techniques, but obviously applied very precisely. And then exercise therapy, using precise exercise, we're able to do the same thing, retrain these patterns. Instead of having the elbow out and moving out and shearing the shoulder joint, we keep it in and keep it in line within the joint. And it's little things like that. You're talking an 8-degree difference in angle of the shoulder that can lead to a huge difference down the road. So that's where we retrain people how to move correctly and move them out of these dysfunctional movements that are causing the pain in the first place. Prevention. This is paramount to everything we do. Prevention is the whole point. This is what separates us from everyone else out there. This is what separates us from chiropractors. This is what separates us from physical therapy. Not only do we work all the way back to the root problem itself, we also give people the education and the understanding to move forward and constantly self-assess, constantly have an awareness for where you are in time and space and the damage that you're creating on your body, so that when you're driving, for example, and you feel your leg falling off to the side, you have the awareness to pull that back in. And it might not seem much in the moment, but hold that there for about 15 minutes and feel how that hip feels after that. It's sore. And when you do that every day, day in and day out, it creates long-term problems. And so if you can just have simple awareness in these, but we go very in-depth, and we like to consider each of our clients to be an apt pupil, so to speak, and we really expect a lot of them, and they expect a lot from us. And that's where the education is such a huge part of it, but then also we build a program that can be used outside to empower the individual to move forward and not have a reliance on us. The idea is to build this preventative program that is simple enough, but at the same time effective enough and personalized enough for each individual to manage their own posture, manage their own movement patterns. We're not saying that people don't deviate, we're not saying that problems don't occur, but this can help to keep people in line as best as possible. And then preventative maintenance, like I said, it's not everybody's going to stay in line. You do your best, but at the same time things pop up. So the idea is, don't wait until it's a full-blown issue. If you feel something popping up, get back in and get it taken care of. It's, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, and it'll cost, the cost ratio is easily the same. Performance, this is where we're really trying to develop. We do really well with the pain relief and the prevention aspect of things. We're trying to get people to really understand the value of this in moving forward, whether it be for golf, tennis, even gardening. The ability to do these things capably and confidently, and to build progress in those areas, it's all very doable within our system. And because of the precision and our understanding for proper movement, we can tweak a golf swing to be significantly more efficient. And when you're moving more efficiently, you're moving more powerfully. It's that simple. And so that's, that can equal additional yardage on a golf swing. That can be a better forehand. That can lead to less injuries. Weekend warriors, same kinds. These are all very similar. I mean, pretty self-explanatory. And then finally, our employee wellness services. Using everything I just explained, basically all of these concepts, we apply it in a well-established format that is effective for a company, for the end goal obviously being driving down healthcare costs. Specific disease intervention has been proven to be the #1 approach to wellness and healthcare cost control. And so if we're able to come in, and another thing I should mention is that orthopedics is is almost always at the top for diagnostic categories when you talk about your healthcare expenses. Your highest concentration of healthcare expenses fall under orthopedic expenses generally for healthcare, and it's not just it's not just the surgery. It's all the injections leading up to. It's all the physical therapy leading up to the appointments, the diagnosis, and then all of the rehab following. Basically, they say if an issue gets to the point of surgery, you're looking at it costing on average $40,000, and it can easily get up into the couple hundreds of thousands very quickly. So the idea is that our program, at roughly $75 to $100 per employee, you're talking if you can offset one issue, you can afford to do the program for hundreds of employees. And with the high relativity of the high cost of the orthopedic diagnostics, it's a no-brainer. So the format of it essentially is a workplace assessment is done. We come in, we analyze everything, the work done, the environment, everything down to the pencils used, the heights of the monitors, everything. This is your basic ergonomic assessment. Posture analysis to really understand where they stand, and then also we offer on-site services to help to encourage employees to stay on top of these things. Like I said, it comes down to the old adage, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And it really, I mean, that could not be more true in this industry. It is absolutely astonishing how quickly something that could have been treated for a couple $100s can quickly become, like I said, a $40,000, $50,000 issue. And people want to put that, you know, oh, well, my health insurance covers most of that. Well, I think everyone in this room is smart enough to understand that, you know, we ultimately shoulder that, you know, bear that burden. So in the long run. So that's what we do, and that's what we're trying to accomplish. And it's effective, and I hope if anybody has any questions.
With the sports performance, are you doing much with teenagers, high school age?
Yeah, I mean, we've worked with not a ton. I mean, obviously our general clientele tends to be a little bit older, but we've had a number of, you know, rebuff students, North Central soccer players, quite a few actually. I mean, like I said, generally they come to us in the position of pain relief first. So they've got some sort of nagging issue that no one else has been able to figure out, and they come to us and we fix it, and then they say, well, what else can you do for me? And it's worked well, but we just haven't marketed that aspect of our business as well as we maybe could have.
There's a few folks in the room that have come. I came in there once. Rob's.
Yeah, I have, and I mean, they're great. I've had back issues two different times where I've had very severe, on the verge of, you know, the next step is surgery, and I wanted to try to avoid that. And as a result, probably of the back issues I've had, I started compensating, and I started developing pain in my right knee and my right hip. It was really my hip, and even just sitting down, like driving the car, was causing me problems. So I went in and saw him. I had 3 sessions with Rachel, and combination of the massage therapy and the whatever the other
Exercise therapy, yeah.
And over the years of having back problems, compensating, and then that was causing problems. So, but what most people do is they would go through and continue to have that pain. Go to their doctor. Their doctor's going to give them an anti-inflammatory, some sort of naproxen and something else, and then they're going to prescribe physical therapy. And then you're going to go into physical therapy, and they're going to say, okay, the pain's in your hip. So they're going to focus. What Drew had explained to me is that insurance does not allow them to go like, the pain is in your hip, they can't do anything below the knee. Well, really, my problem wasn't in my hip or my knee, it's my foot, how I'm carrying my weight. So the insurance thing is never going to work, really. They may relieve the pain temporarily, but I'm going to go right back to the same habits, so that's going to pop up again. So eventually it's going to lead to like hip replacement, knee replacement, something else.
Brings up a couple good points too. One point that I'd say, you say at this age, at our age, everybody's got aches and pains. Age does not cause aches and pains. I promise you this. Even if you have arthritis, age is not the cause of the pain. It's the fact that we, over time, in the course of our lives, tend to fall forward. We create all these problems. Arthritis, for example, not to say that certain rheumatoid arthritis, it pops up. It's going to flow. You have proper spacing in the joint. Perfect example, I have it in my right shoulder from an auto accident. If I let my shoulder roll forward, which is really easy for me to do because I cover my right side from this accident. I just have this natural tendency to roll everything forward and basically guard it. If I allow that to come forward, I will have horrible arthritis on a rainy day at the end of the night. It feels like everything's bulging out the back of my shoulder. But if I just make sure to keep everything back and just keep the shoulder and the joint the way it's supposed to be, there's proper spacing. So even if you have swelling, the swelling is not going to have the same effect that it would have because it has proper spacing to allow for it. And if you do not give it proper spacing, you're actually going to cause the swelling to become worse because then it's pressed up against the sidewall of the joint and you're creating further issues. So age is not the issue. We create our own problems.
I went to Drew because somebody in this group said, I was having pain in my elbow for like years.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, I went to Drew's.
Leon.
Yeah, and he's like, I had 3 sessions, and they showed me what I was doing wrong, and the pain is gone.
First one to die.
Manual assessment.
Okay.
We get you on the table. Well, first of all, there's a lot that the trained eye can see a lot. somebody who knows what they're looking at can see a slight deviation, a slight roll in the shoulder. That tells a lot. When walking from here to there, Jake or Rachel could tell you a lot about what you're already experiencing just by watching. I love technology for certain things, but I don't. We've made a stance from day one that we will never put ourselves in a position to allow technology to replace a trained employee, and that's something that we refuse to go away from. Yes, there's opportunities out there, but at the same time, I mean, we won't get MRIs, X-rays. We'll tell somebody you should seek out an MRI because we would, based on our testing, it looks like there might be a tear. But at the same time, it's what a person can compute will not have as many errors as as technology. So that's just.
Isn't that more than pay for a copay for a visit?
No, well, it's our rates are $100 an hour for the bodywork therapy, but it's all prorate, or it's all prorated. So if you do a half hour, which is very common, it's $50. Or whether it be carpal tunnel or plantar fasciitis are two very common things we get a lot of, and people come in and first couple sessions are usually a half hour, 2-3 sessions, then they're down to 15-minute sessions. So you're talking $25 in and out for the last couple sessions, and then it's done.
I'm in the market for a personal trainer. Do you guys have a personal trainer, or do you have people you like to work with?
Well, that's where I talk about the performance side of things. I mean, there is nothing we can't do within the constraints of our system, and the beauty of it is you will never feel like at any point you were in a position to get hurt. You were never under a 250-pound bar on a squat in a position that could have hurt you. But when I was training for this Spartan race, I mean, I'd do 45 minutes to an hour with Rachel, and I'd walk out dripping sweat.
You have them right off. Rachel's personal.
She does both, yeah. I mean, we have relationships with a lot of personal trainers because there's a benefit for them to send people to us to shore them up and not miss sessions and all that good stuff. But, so we have a great relationship with a number of physicians.
Thanks, Drew.
Thank you.